Ben's abandoned lightsaber was a painful reminder that if she had been there, maybe things would have played out differently. If the stakes weren't so high, Ahsoka would have been able to see the dark humor in the fact that she couldn't seem to leave the Skywalkers alone or they would fall apart. She still couldn't believe that Ben had left, though. More importantly, she couldn't believe that Luke had failed him so miserably. But then again, she was also surprised by Anakin as well. "Well, did you find Ezra?" Luke was standing behind Ahsoka. "No." She knew that Luke's real question was, well, was it worth not being here for nothing when it mattered the most? The search for Ezra would have to take a back seat to the search for Ben. Ahsoka knew that he was out there and needed her more than ever. So she packed her things and set off again. Once again to find a lost Jedi on a distant Outer Rim fuel station. Ben had no idea where he was. It was a small fuel station on a remote moon, but that was all he knew. If it weren't for the voice inside his head guiding him, he wouldn't have known he was headed in the right direction. He had to reach this powerful being. He couldn't help but see how this was tied to his destiny. "Hey, watch it, kid." Ben had just absent-mindedly bumped into a dock worker. "Focus," he said to himself. Ben Solo was no stranger to small spaceports and fuel stations like this. His father, Han Solo, had slipped back into that sketchy business of smuggling, and he would often bring young Ben on some of these trips. Of course, Leia didn't know any of this. As Ben kept walking, he heard, "Yeah, that's him. The kid who ran into me." Ben looked up to see a crowd of burly dock workers moving toward him. Most of these dock workers were the reptilian Transdoshans, and, well, that was not a good thing for Ben. He remembered Chewbacca telling him a story of being captured by these reptilian hunters. "Let's show him just how lost he is," one of them said. As they all rushed at Ben, he quickly used the Force to knock several of them back, but had to immediately dodge a few others who had crept in from behind. The regret of leaving his lightsaber behind filled Ben's thoughts. More scaly green fists came flying at Ben, but he ducked under just in time. Thinking of his lightsaber made him think of Luke. Ben finally landed a few hits on one attacker. Rage began to build up. Then he remembered that Ahsoka had abandoned him in his darkest moment. He reached deep within the Force and snapped the necks of 2 dock workers. Now they would see their mistake, he thought. Referring more to Ahsoka and Luke than the current situation. And just like that, Ben was diving deeper and deeper into the Force, fueled by anger and pain. Everything was a blur. He was vaguely aware of the fight before him, until it was just over. Over too soon. Ben wanted more. "Well, you certainly know how to handle yourself," said an amused voice from behind. Ben wheeled around at the source, anger still in his eyes. There stood a cloaked figure, his arms crossed and face hidden. I hope you enjoyed part 3 of What If Ahsoka Trained Ben Solo. This is ultimately going to be a 5-part series, so stay tuned next week for part number 4. Let me know in the comments below what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, and what you'd like to see in part number 4.